today we'll be discussing about the evolving events and particularly in Iraq and Syria, where ISIS has taken a large swath of territory in a matter of a couple of days, and the implications on the region, and also the broader regional trends, or the trends in the Muslim world in terms of jihadism, etc. So Katie, you've been researching and you're going to write something on the ISIS. What do you think is happening in the region? How do you read the situation and the role of ISIS?
Well, I think the events that have happened in Iraq in the last few weeks have stunned the international community, just the speed with which ISIS moved through Iraq, and people in Baghdad feeling like they were soon going to be under siege and returning to civil war. I think ISIS shouldn't be blown out of proportion. One of the reasons why they've done so well in Iraq these past 2 weeks is because of the failures of the Maliki government. It's less about the strength of the group and it's more about the failures.
Yeah.
A lot of Sunni tribes have joined ISIS, even Baathists have joined, because the Maliki government has sort of taken this Shia policy. It has, Sunnis have really felt excluded from the political process and they're frustrated. So you need to contextualize these events. Their developments, they've now taken border posts with Jordan. They're still moving towards Baghdad. They've taken more area towards Syria. It is stunning, but yeah, you must contextualize it. And at the same time, you need to differentiate between ISIS in Iraq and ISIS in Syria. It's the same group, but in Syria, the local population are opposing it. They're fighting against it.
Yeah.
It's a very different situation. So you do need to draw these divisions between the countries that it's operating in. Yeah.
And what do you think this is leading then? Are we looking at the very fragmented Iraq and the arrival of US Special Forces today? Do you think the ISIS is able to march on Baghdad, or is it trying to hold its position on the areas that it wants?
I think it needs to try. I think it wants to try to hold its position. But if you read the tweets, the video that was released last week by the British jihadists, it's all talking about reaching Baghdad. They want to take control. I don't think they want a split Iraq to be split up. They want to control as much territory as possible. The Maliki government today, the Prime Minister rejected the fragmented Iraq. He said he doesn't want the government to be more diverse. So I think we need to wait and see with this.
And in terms of the regional trends, where you're reading this?
Yeah, the thing about ISIS is the sham in ISIS does not stand just for Syria. It's really the Levant. So Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, a bit of Turkey. This is where ISIS seeks to gain control. So we need to be looking at this territory as well. In Jordan, for instance, in April there were protests in Amman. It's a very conservative city south of Amman. It's fairly impoverished, and there were protests there in April, and the black flag of ISIS appeared, and a group declared solidarity with ISIS. There have also been protests there in the wake of events in Iraq. So Jordan has got this, there is territory there, it's relatively fertile, and Lebanon too. The recent suicide bombing in Beirut, that's been linked to ISIS, although that's not been confirmed. But with Jordan, it's a very different situation. It's got a king he's in control of the country. Majority of Jordanians, they do not want to see their country descend into chaos. They oppose ISIS. It's a very different situation. So the context is extremely important. You need to look further than Iraq and Syria, and that's, I think, the general trend that we should be following at the moment. But I do think it's interesting just the way that this group is, that borders mean nothing. And I know this is part of your research in the neo-jihadist groups, and maybe you could talk about that a little.
Well, we started to look in the ASP Annual Strategic Report that we published in March It was a very brief mention. I think that it was worthwhile and it was timely. What I was trying to analyze at the time was, how is the war or the just war, which is in Islamic code is jihad, is being reshaped or changed in the context of post 9/11, post Arab Spring, post Egypt coup. And the bit is already there. We can go and read on our website. Just look up for it, Khaldun paper under our IISA Funded program. And the idea was that to look at how these changing dynamics can be used as a sort of method or tool to study the group. And in fact, we were thinking we will be starting, in fact, very shortly a program on neo-jihadism. The idea is that the neo-jihadists are different than in terms of the jihadists that we've seen before.
In what way?
Well, in post pre-9/11 era, for instance, you had a kind of transnational jihadist, Al-Qaeda, and nationalist jihadists, whether it's Taliban, Hamas, or Hezbollah. That's completely changed. You don't have you neither have nationalist jihadists nor transnationalist jihadists anymore. You have a kind of more a new breed of regional jihadists who will use either nationalistic goals or transnationalistic, admirations. AQIM is not an international jihadist organization, but it's a regional one, but still take cues from the Al-Qaeda Central. So so did ISIS in the beginning, or Jabhat al-Nusra, but they are very regional. Hezbollah was a very national organization, but it's not national anymore. Fought a severe war with the moderates and other forces inside Syria. So we can't hang on to 30, 40 years or 20 years old paradigms and models to study jihadism. We need to look at differently, we need to see. And this is, I don't have answers yet, but I think that's the trend that we think taking place. And that's our program will try to look at in more studies, looking at really what's happening on the ground, but not from a local perspective, but really seeing as things are as they are evolving from the ground up. So, we are, of course, analyzing this. You're writing something in ISIS, so the report that I mentioned is already on the website. So, thank you for joining us. Do look out for the space. Go to our website, IISA, www.iisa.org.uk, or blog, Facebook, and Twitter. We update regularly our research and other material. So, see you soon. Thank you. Bye.